Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sunday Night Dead. This is Tracy Todd from Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts down here in the rainy city of Panama City, Florida. I want to thank all of you for joining us this evening. Along with me for the ride tonight is the wonderful Luana Kurtz from Colorado Shadow Investigations out of the great city of Denver.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
Luana.
Yes,
How
I'm
are
here.
you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am good. So what's the scoop over there in Denver?
Oh, man. Not much right now. I'm just trying to get ready for Halloween. I got my decorating out and in process. It's probably going to be a couple weeks before I'm done. But I started.
Wonderful. Hey, did you hit that? I seen they had a big beer thing down there in Denver. Did you hit that this weekend?
No, actually they have the one of the little tin zombie crawls, and then they're going to have another one in Denver here in a couple weeks, and I'm going to try to hit downtown Denver.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
Also with us tonight is the ever so humble Kenny Saminsky from Portal Paranormal Society, which is based out of Brighton, Michigan. Hey, buddy, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, you guys?
Good. So what's the latest and greatest up north?
It's cold and rainy, and I had to work all weekend, so this is like my first little bit of me time.
Oh, poor guy. Well, I thought I was going to have to work all weekend with this hurricane, but I'm glad it petered out and went on its way.
I figured when I hadn't heard from you, you retained power.
Yeah, I still have power as of right now. They're still expecting some pretty strong thunderstorms, so who knows, at any time it may go.
Wow.
So anyway, before we get the show on the road, I just wanted to give a shout-out to Matt, the regular host of Sunday Night Dead. Matt is on his way down to see Mickey Mouse, him and his wife. Matt, I know how you have issues every time that you try to get on a plane or ride on a plane. So I hope you made it down to Disney in one piece and with your sanity intact. On the program tonight, we're going to share with all of you some of the best data in the form of EVPs that each of us has collected over time, along with the stories behind them. Before we begin, however, I'd like to share with all of you that this is my first time acting as host and running the control board. So I do want to apologize in advance to all of you if things don't go as smoothly as they would if Matt was here.
You're doing a fine job so far.
Well,
yep.
Thank you. I also wanted to invite all of you to call in tonight. Luana and Ken are among the brightest investigators around. If you'd like to talk with them about the paranormal or anything else, please call 646-929-2384 or post your question in the chat room, and I'll make sure it gets answered. So before we get going on the show with the EVPs, Luana and Ken, I'd ask if, what are you guys doing for Halloween? Anything? Anything for yourself, or are you doing anything for as an event or anything?
Well, for me, for Halloween, I have, this month is just a crazy busy month for me because I have a lot of our public events with my ghost hunting team. So we have, I think, 8 public events that we're doing. We have 6 at our Melting Pot restaurant. Yeah. And then we have, we got a lot going on. And then we have, we just landed a brand new location this year that we're actually going to do a public event at it's actually called the Parkside Mansion. So it's a mansion investigation, and we're kind of working through the details and the dates on that, but that should be coming up this month. And then we also, very exciting, have a local radio station here in Colorado that will be spending the night with us in our Melting Pot location and broadcasting live at nighttime and in the morning it's a charity event, and it's also people buy tickets and will come and want to investigate with us, and we'll see what we can find throughout the night. That's actually the day before Halloween. And then for Halloween, for me, I'm just taking my kids trick-or-treating, and I get a share of the candy, obviously, as a candy tax for taking them door to door.
Wow, Luana, you better take some, emergency this month.
I know. I'm telling you, every year, this is the 3rd year in a row that I've done the public events, and we have so many back-to-back. We have every Friday and Saturday starting next weekend through the rest of the month that's just consumed. So I definitely will be tired and a little wore down by the end of the month.
That's amazing. 8 events. That's incredible. That happened to us last year, though, for Portal. We ended up, it was it was real quiet. We had 1 or 2 things planned, and all of a sudden, it was like everyone was calling. And I hate to say no to anybody, and we've got a large enough team where I can kind of split us up and do this and that. But this year we're relatively quiet. We have a couple investigations going. One's a little more intense investigation. It's going to require us to go back a couple of times. And then the other one we're just wrapping up from the last couple of weeks. And for Halloween, I've got a 4-year-old. I don't know what he's going to be this year. Probably Spider-Man, and an 8.5-year-old. I can't decide what I want to be yet, daughter, to take around. Usually I'm manning the door, so I'll put something relatively bizarre on. I'll take my Confederate officer's uniform, throw that on with a pirate hat, and looks actually pretty convincing. My parrot passed last year. I had my Senegal parrot on my shoulder, and everyone they couldn't get over it. It was a real parrot, so that was fun. But he passed this year, so he won't be. Well, I guess I could stuff him and put him on my shoulder again, but he was a good bird, but he just it was his time. But that's my October in a nutshell.
Sounds
That's
fun.
cool. So when you guys normally during this time of year, do you find that more people are calling you for cases this time of year?
Yeah, definitely for me. I think that, it's always interesting to see what kind of a crowd is drawn at some of the public events that we do, because there's definitely a mixture of people, some that are, they want a good scare for Halloween and not really realizing that sometimes our real investigations are pretty quiet compared to what I think they think they're going to get on a real investigation. But it's always neat to see, because we do so many. We do, this year we're doing the 7 in the one location, and so just the interaction that we get from, the activity there in the building is pretty intense usually, because we're there every week, twice a week.
And I would have to say the same, that the request for cases or for investigations does go up at this time of the year. And George and I have talked about this before, and we wonder, is it due to the time of year, like, with Halloween coming up, or is it the fact that people are spending more time inside and therefore exposed to it more and therefore notice it more, as opposed to the summer when, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm outside as much as I can be.
Right.
Right.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in the same boat with you guys. We do get a lot more cases in October. I don't know if it's wrong for us to do it, but we decided to do it anyway. We have a place that we're going to be doing a paranormal history tour. And that's our Russ house, and they originally wanted us to do it close to Halloween, and I said, no, I really don't want to do it, during that time of the month, just because I think it would bring in the wrong crowd, so to speak.
Mhm.
That was wrong or right, but that's what we're going to go with.
Yeah, that feels right to you. I mean, I know last year I had one of my public events. People came and, I have no respect when people show up to my events drunk. And that's what ended up happening, last year. And this guy, pretty much two of the guys on one of our events, almost got into a fist fight. And then they got thrown out. We said, you're not welcome here when, with that kind of behavior. And, I have advertising on my car. And sure enough, later on, I came out to a damaged vehicle. So it's also unfortunate. They kicked a good dent in my car.
Wow.
Great.
So when you guys, Luana, when you do these things, do you guys put because one of the things we were deliberating about was the age limit. Did you guys put an age on your tours?
I leave it up to the location that actually, because they're actually doing a dinner. That's what, for their location, it's actually a restaurant, so they actually provide dinner, and they don't put an age limit on it. So it's a family event, and that was one of the reasons why the guy that was drunk was upset, was because there was a little kid there. It was a younger kid, and they felt like he shouldn't have been there. I don't have any control over that when it's really the location that's allowing us to come in and do our investigation. So it's unfortunate, but.
Right.
And we always try and we always suggest an age, but like Luana said, it's their location. They're going to set the final rules, but we always try and suggest it, as I'm sure Luana does, as far as the drinking goes, we do put a clause in there saying, you show up drunk or high and you're done.
Yeah.
I mean, just because I've heard so many nightmares about people doing that, I was like, that's one thing I just don't want to deal with.
Yeah. Well, and being a restaurant, they serve, alcohol, but I just watch and I'll tell them that person over there needs to be cut off. And it's a long dinner because it's fondue, so it's like, a 3-hour dinner. So if I start seeing right up front that they're, out of control or that they're getting too much alcohol in them, I tell them to cut them off. It is what it is.
Right.
It's something that we like people to have a good time. We want them to interact, but it's also, take it seriously. And it's hard to do that with the crowd that it draws around Halloween.
It is. They're all expecting levitating people and, heads spinning all the way around and,
Yeah, exactly.
Right. You're so right. Well, we've decided to do on our tour, like I said, this is our first one that we've done, so I'm sure there'll be a lot of lessons learned, but we went ahead and put an age limit on the actual investigation part of it to at least 16 or older, which I guess is just a more comfortable thing for me, because I would hate for, a 12-year-old, 11, 12-year-old go home, and then all of a sudden I get a call from their parent, I don't know what you did at the house, but my son's possessed now, and he's throwing things and this, that, and the other.
Right.
Yeah, well, you need that general, that Better Call Saul line where it's like, not responsible for any effects.
Well, see, I'm glad you said something, Dick, because we actually were throwing something together like that. And we're trying to make it sound as serious as we can, but when we get done writing it, it kind of does sound sort of silly to us. But, I think we need to put some kind of clause in there. Plus, I think the Russ House may have somebody sign a waiver in case they fall down or something.
Well, we have a permission to investigate form, which I think most people that do what we do have that. But we have it. I had it looked over by a lawyer, and he actually made some changes to the wording just for that reason. And then one of the groups that we're affiliated that sends us cases that are darker in nature, we'll say, they have their own release form, and it says flat on there that, in the case where, an exorcism may be needed, you need to understand that this is a serious thing, and it could, result in, it's not like what you see in the movies. It's a serious matter, and, people have died from this. It's a waiver, and it flat out says that in it. So, I mean, it's an interesting world we live in.
For sure.
You are so right. So now there was one other thing I wanted to bring up before we get started, and my wife told me, she said, you better write this stuff down, you're going to forget it. And I said, no, I'm not old yet, I'll remember it, and guess what? She's smirking at me. Hold on, bear with me, guys.
No problem. So, Ken, are you doing any decorating at your place?
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit. I try and expand it every year a little bit, but it's I would have normally started. I don't know what is today. I don't even know what the date is. 6th. I would have normally started October 1st, and I'm behind a little bit, so I actually have to try and get my act together here. And then right after, literally November 1st, I'm changing things out, and I'm up there because my wife is a huge Christmas aficionado, and so the last couple we've had it as bad as the Griswold house a couple of times.
Yeah.
So I strive to add more every year and just really annoy the neighbors.
That's like me, except for I think I need to get an electrician out soon because I am overloading. Like
I'm definitely overloading. I mean, I can look at the meter and watch it spin.
Yeah, I think I might have melted. I actually melted one of my electrical sockets one year, so definitely I'm overloading.
My goal is to be seen from space.
There you go.
So you guys are bigger Christmas than Halloween?
Well, my wife is. I love both. It's just a matter of trying to put as much up as we can, then trying to get it taken down as fast as we can, switch it out. So it's kind of like Christmas seems to trump it because it's easier to take less down at Halloween and then just keep adding all the way until Christmas. Plus, I have 2 months to get it ready for Christmas. I only have, well, I guess I could start early. I could start in September. But, yeah, it seems to be we put up more for Christmas than Halloween.
The same with you, Luana?
Actually, gosh, through the years, I used to do more at Christmas time, and now I think I'm probably still a little bit heavier at Christmas, but I have quite the outside display now. Every year when things go on sale, I try to stock up for the next year. So I have a couple of new things this year that I'm going to be adding. I have like a cemetery in the front and lots of stuff inside. In fact, I try to do each of my kids' rooms. I put lights up in their room throughout the holiday season. So like Halloween will be orange lights, and it's just fun. It's definitely something that, you know, a lot of the kids in the neighborhood just love coming to our house to trick or treat, and that's the way I want it to be.
One of my big goals is to get the computer that synchronizes all the lights outside.
Oh yeah,
for Halloween.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be cool. See, here's the thing: you guys need to call your congressman or the people in charge up there, and they need to make a law like they have down here in Florida, where you can keep your stuff up all year long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And most of us do. I still Christmas stuff up on the porch and on the roof. I keep it up all year long.
Yeah, I can't. I get fined if I do.
I'm actually going to try that with the lights this year. Like with I outline the house in all white lights. So all I'd have to do every year is just put up the icicles or whatever, you know. But the rest of it, I doubt anyone would be able to see it. So, and I could just say it because I already do that with our trees. Our trees are all lit. So if I have a pool party some night, I just light up the trees. So I'm going to see if I can get away with it with the house, too, see if anyone notices.
Oh, yeah, my Santa Claus and reindeer stare on the roof for Halloween. I just throw sheets over them and cut out the eyeballs. We're good.
There you go. Genius.
That's great.
I got the other thing I want to, I don't know if you all have heard about that new app, I guess, for the iPhones and phones and the tablets and whatnot, that new Echo Box. Have y'all heard anything about that?
I've not.
I have not. No, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the apps, but tell us about it.
Well, I was, there's a couple of groups that are out there. It's $20. And it uses the microphone on whatever device that you download the app on. And I guess it uses your voice and it sends out an echo, which the spirits use to talk back with you. Now, there's a couple of sites, Up Paranormal. He's got a couple of videos on there. Arizona Spirit Paranormal Society. They have a video up on their site where they've used it, and it kind of sounds legit. You can actually hear these voices, but I just thought maybe y'all have heard more about it before I'd waste $20, you know?
Right.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't, but I'm curious now. I'd like to see what they say about it anyway.
Yeah, it sounds interesting.
So in y'all's, we'll get to these EVPs in just a minute, but I'm listening to a radio show the other night, and they were talking about equipment and whatnot, and one of the pieces of equipment that everybody seems to have is the rods, dowsing rods, divining rods, and I just wanted to get y'all's two input on them.
Go ahead, Luana.
You know what? I actually have not experimented with them yet. I've been very curious. I just wanted to learn a little bit more about, the effectiveness and how people actually use them. I have not actually experimented with them.
I've played with them a little bit, and I mean, none of the tools we use generally were made for, in a general speaking sense, were made for us. So, like dowsing rods are usually to find water. Well, in fact, great dowsing rod story. My group was in Gettysburg with Antietam Paranormal. We were at Sachs Bridge, and we all stood there in shock watching some woman use dowsing rods on the bridge over the river and wondering why she was getting odd results with it. So none of us had the, actually somebody did have the audacity to go up to her and point out that she was making a stupid mistake. But I've played with them a little bit. My problem with them isn't what they can or can't do. My problem with them is that there's so much human interaction. There's a lot of room for error, I think. So I tend to like to stick to things that are touch-free, so to speak. Like, something that I don't have my hands on that's going to affect the outcome. And whether or not I would do that consciously or not, to me, it doesn't matter. I think there's a possibility of it happening. That doesn't stop me from playing with them. It's just, I don't know. It would have to, for me to put it into actual quote-unquote evidence, it would have to raise to a really high level, I think, for me anyway.
Yeah.
And I hear you. Well, we do have a set, and we have used the set, and I mentioned that I was going to make a stand for these where they were freestanding. You just set them on the table in the stand, and there's little adjustments on them to where you can level it out. And I was kind of told that they wouldn't work because the spirits use your energy to move them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, and so far when we've used them with the stands that I made, we haven't had any results in them whatsoever. But when either, I'm using them or another team member's using them, we get them across and all that stuff. So I don't know. I just was hoping you guys could share a little insight.
Well, I wonder if there's a way, like, we're electrical beings, right? I mean, we emit a certain amount of amperage or voltage, I would guess. So if you could find that out, I wonder if there'd be a way to rig a battery and make the stand out of something that's conductive so that energy is running through the stand. I wonder if that would change anything. Or it could be a big waste of money.
Right. Well, the stand I made, and I actually made another stand for a pendulum, because the pendulum's kind of sort of the same thing.
Right.
The stand that I made for the rods and the pendulum are made out of brass. And no, I'm sorry, they're made out of copper. And I made them in such a way to where, like the pendulum, where you could put your hand on the base of the pendulum without actually touching the pendulum. So hopefully, if it is our energy that is actually making it move, we can transfer energy through the copper and make it move. Same with the base of the rods. It's made out of copper, and, you just press down on the base. You're not actually touching the rods, you're just touching the base. Well, I don't know.
stands to reason.
Right. Hey, Bill, do you guys know Bill Freeman?
Name's familiar. I can't say.
Bill Freeman. He's from up north. No.
I don't know him. I know the name. I don't know him personally.
Well, I got a discussion with Bill the other day. He's been doing paranormal investigations and stuff like that for 42 years, I believe. And he actually uses, I want to say it was, he had made a set of rods out of either cedar or ash. And he says he gets unbelievable results out of them. But I haven't seen any video or anything like that. So, I'm just throwing that out there.
I think it's neat that you're experimenting with that, though. I like that. I like to see, people getting creative and trying different things. I mean, that's what research should be about. So that's great.
Yeah, thinking outside the box. I mean, there's a couple of teams that we hang with, and it's always funny because this team I'm thinking of particularly, they have about 10 or 12 cases of stuff. And I said, so, because he tries to experiment with different things like that, and see what works. And so I asked him one day, I said, he had all of his cases open. I was like, so have you gotten results with all this? He goes, no, not at all. In fact, most of it I don't think works. I mean, he's trying,
Right.
Right. All right, guys, so we'll go ahead and, you guys got anything else you want to bring up, you want to talk about?
Not at the moment. I think we can get into, at least from my side, we can get into some EVPs. What about you, Ken?
I'm ready.
Okay, Luana, you'll go first. Ladies first.
Oh, okay.
We'll start with number one.
Okay, so let me set this up. I'm going to see what users, the listeners in the chat room and, try to type in to see if you guys get this. This was actually one of my EVPs. Let me just set it up for you. I was investigating a gold mine. And to me, when I went through the review, it sounds to me like an older male, like a miner. And I'm just going to say he sounds very curious of what I may be doing. So I'll let you play it.
Okay, here goes. We're going to go at 50% first. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Did it go through?
I can't hear anything on the phone.
I didn't hear it.
Okay, let me turn it up.
Now I heard it.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'll play it one more time.
Todd, you got part of it.
Right.
Can we play it one more time? One more time?
Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit louder.
Yeah. So for this one, what I heard is a full sentence that said, "Can you tell me what you're doing?" I have my equipment, and I was walking around, and I'm sure perhaps this is how I interpret it, but maybe to a miner that's, not from this time era, those tools he was unfamiliar with those tools.
Yeah, when I was listening to him before I posted him, I could definitely hear, "Can you tell me what you're doing?"
Yeah. Play it one more time?
Sure. Let me turn it up. One more time.
No, for sure. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That was a really good capture at that gold mine. That was the first time I was in there investigating and got that one.
He's protecting his gold.
So that's right.
With the this gold mine, is it near you there, or did you have to go somewhere?
It's in Colorado here, the Rocky Mountains are about from where I live, about a 30-minute drive, and so this is a town called Idaho Springs. It's one of the gold mines. The owner owns about 2,000 different mines, and this is one of them that they actually do public tours through here just so that people can actually go through the mine. He bought the mine this is what was really fascinating. He bought the mine years ago for $5,000. It was not active when he bought it, and then they started mining, and they struck gold. So it's still active today. They're still mining gold out of it. Pretty neat. And this is where I spent the night. I went back for a follow-up and spent the night there all night. That's when I had the rat crawl up my leg.
Could they hear you scream all the way down to Denver?
I didn't. I'm very shocked. It was so funny because the miners, before I stayed the night, they said there were no miners with me at the time. There was only one other female, and we thought it would be interesting to see, since females it was illegal for them to be in the mines back in the day. We thought, well, I wonder if we could draw out some activity and, get some things to interact with us. And so we stayed in one of the rooms that they call the healing room. It has a vein of gold in it, and it's really bizarre, but they call it the healing room because it seems to heal people. So they're studying this all around the world, this one room that's called the healing room in this mine. So that's where we slept, and I had set up my laser grid right outside, and I woke up because I could hear something. And, of course, I'm thinking it's, a ghost or something. So I look over, and I could see this ginormous, because my laser grid was projecting this rat, and it was projecting it on one of the sides of the mine, and I could see it in the laser grid, and I was like, oh, no. But I was thinking, I'm up on a bench, so no big deal. Well, it climbed up, and then I woke up to its feet crawling up my leg. I could feel it just crawling, and I just shook it off. I just shook it. I saw it scurry away, and that was the end of that.
It was cold. What's the snuggle?
Yeah. Yeah. Crazy experience. But.
I bet. Okay, number 2.
Okay. Oh, number 2 for me. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is one of my best captures at the restaurant that I'm in on a regular basis. And just to set it up, it was a night that just my team was in there. We were doing a private investigation to try to, see what we can capture. And we set one of our recorders down on one of the tables. And what was amazing to me is we picked up what appears to be 2 spirits talking to each other. And the first spirit says something, and he talks really fast. So there's theories out there about how spirits can talk up to 3 times their normal conversing speed, and this is a great example of how fast he talks. And he says something to her, and I take it as our cameras were malfunctioning at the time, so that's kind of a double validation for me as well. You can kind of hear our voices in the background because we're trying to fix our cameras. And then she actually chimes in right after he tells her to go with us. So I'll let you see what you guys can come up with.
Okay, here we go. I will play it at half the volume. Okay, let me play it again. I'll play it louder.
Yep.
And
Any guesses?
And we'll turn it down and play it one more time. Well, I think you got everybody stumped.
Yeah, this one I had to slow down to get every single word, but it's a really good EVP. He actually says, "Can you walk away with them a little bit?" And I think that he's talking about us because we were walking down the hallway. He's telling her, "Can you walk away with them a little bit?" And she says, "I don't want to."
Right. Okay, one more time, guys. We'll play it full volume. Okay, one more time.
Yep, I got it that time.
Yeah.
Yep. It's this one. You probably need headphones, and I actually slowed it down on my version online. I actually changed the speed so you can capture every word. But it's really fascinating to me how quick the guy talks, because I mean, that was immediate debunking from my team that we weren't talking that fast. Okay.
So this was. Can you tell us what restaurant it was at?
Yeah, this is at my location that I've been in for 3 years. This is the Melting Pot Littleton location, and I'm the resident investigator there. So I'm in there on average about every month that I'm investigating. And this was one of the only, I think the only EVP that we've actually captured 2 of them talking to each other, a male and a female voice.
Well, and what are the what's the claims there?
Where the what?
What are the claims? What seems that has happened there?
Oh, well, let's see. Just the background for it, it used to be a Carnegie Library, and then it was also a jail. So I don't know exactly where these 2 came in. The activity in that restaurant is really, really, I mean, it's a very active restaurant, and I think there's a lot of activity all down what we call, there's a road called Santa Fe that this restaurant resides on right next to a river. And so I think that's part of it, being a natural energy conductor. You have the flowing energy of water right in that area. Plus, we've also had a lot of flash floods that wiped out a lot of people back in the day, and that's why they speculate that there's so much activity. But nothing that I know other groups have came across what they feel is, malevolent or evil spirits. I know that there's been angry things in there. This, to me, just seems very curious of what we're doing, why we're there. And so
Right.
I think he's trying to convince her to come with us, interact with us. And she sounds scared to me. When you listen to it with headphones on, she sounds really scared. She's like, I don't want to.
So anything when you said that, have you caught anything on video or in a photograph or anything?
Nothing on video or photographs. I have been physically touched. I won't go out on record and say that very often. I think there's only been 3 times I've been touched on all the investigations that I've ever done, and this was one of them at this location. So definitely, there's been 2 male investigators I've investigated with that have actually seen, they claim that they've seen a female there that has passed through one of them that walked, and they thought it was actually one of us, and then it just went through part of the guy and so I was investigating with. So that was kind of bizarre. I haven't seen anything visually, but I just have so much activity there. I love the restaurant. I've always been drawn to this location. Even before I was investigating, I used to go to this restaurant growing up and always just fell in love with the building and felt like it was calling me. It was really, really bizarre the way it all worked out. And now I'm the resident investigator, and I'm there all the time. And that's where my events are this month. 7 of them are in this location.
Wonderful. My friend Jeff Cole, he was on the show a couple, 3 weeks ago. He wanted me to ask, as the resident investigator, have you been able to identify who the spirits might be?
Who they might be?
Yeah.
I don't know yet. That's the tough part. I don't know if you have any experiences, Ken, that you might. I think it's hard, for me to get all the details. It's little bits and pieces. But I think after 3 years, I've pieced together a little bit of different stories, just not enough to actually get hardcore names and know who they were maybe in life.
Yeah, I mean, we've run into that before where we just do extensive history, and we were lucky enough to get names that someone had put graffiti in the, well, not graffiti, the family had written their names in the garage. So we had that list, and it coincided with the history we did on the house and the history of the death in the particular house. So, and who the spirit was claiming to be. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
And we are the resident investigators for the Russ House. We've been going here for 2.5 years now, and we're just at the point now to where we think we may have a name, honey, but it's taken us 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes time, and I think that the more you go back, like I said, it's kind of to me like a puzzle, and you just get little pieces here and there that you can sort of try to piece together, and it's fascinating to me to learn a little bit more about them. And I've been there, like I said, for 3 years, so it's been pretty interesting.
Right.
Hey, remind me, I've got a really creepy, weird story about putting pieces together later on once we're kind of in between or something. Remind me, we got our team psychic. It was crazy stuff that happened last night. So remind me if you want to fill some space.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, the next one is number 3.
Okay, so number 3 for me is this one is to me really fascinating because it made me wonder if all of the spirits can really see us as the living, or if, like the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman, where she's, sorry to ruin it for anybody, but she's the ghost. That's what this one kind of reminds me of, because it's like I'm talking and they like to bust me, like I'm trying to talk to myself, and that's always when I have to fess up as to what I was doing. But in this example, I was talking to myself. I was trying to map out different rotations for my team. My team is actually in different areas away from me, not close in that building, in that same location, Littleton location of Melting Pot. And as I'm talking, I pick up this voice, and I feel like it's a male voice. That's what it sounds like to me. But I'll let you play it.
Okay.
This one's hard to hear. You're going to hear me kind of in the background because I'm, again, talking to myself. And then as I'm talking to myself, this voice chimes in.
Okay, here we go again.
It's a whisper, so it's hard to hear.
Yep.
All right, let me turn it up full blast. I can hear it, but I can hear it because, I can see what it's saying.
Yeah. Yeah, this one was actually, again, another sentence that said, as I'm like mapping out and I go, like I'm trying to figure out who's going with who on the next rotation. There's a male voice, and he says, I can hear voices in here. And it's really, really quiet, like it's a whisper. But I interpret it that he's hearing me talk, but maybe he can't see me.
Right. Right. Okay, that's one more time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
One more
Again,
time. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's, ever since I got that one, I now ask for validation. If you can see me, can you tell me, like, what color my shirt is or what streak of color in my hair is? And it's amazing to me because they do. They've told me what color I'm wearing. I have, like, pink usually in my hair, and they'll say, like, I'll say, what color hair do I have? And they'll say pink. It's pretty cool.
Cool. Okay, so number 4.
Okay, so number 4 is same location. Again, I was actually in what's called the banquet room, and I'm talking. You can hear me talking in the background to someone in the team, and so our voices, are talking. And then this is the first time that I recognized that they recognized me, and that's all I'm going to say about this. So see if you can hear what they're saying.
Okay, here we go.
Battery's dead.
Oh, okay, sorry. Wrong one. So this one is actually in the same room, banquet room that I was just saying, but our camera battery had died. And so you're going to hear the investigator say battery's dead, and then she gets a response, but she could only hear the response on EVP.
Okay.
Battery's dead.
I mean, I'm not going to say, but I can clearly hear it.
Battery's dead.
Yep. And you guys
I can hear it, but I can't make it out. I can hear it, but I can't make it out.
Yeah.
Okay, let me turn it down a little bit and play it again.
Battery's dead.
And I hear, as she says, the battery's dead, there's a female voice that comes in, and what I hear is, no, it ain't.
All right, one more time.
Battery's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fun when they, okay, so Todd, just to answer your question, what I hear her saying is when the investigator says the battery's dead, she immediately goes, no, it ain't. And the funny part is she got battery power back right away after that was said.
Wow.
So what we hear is, no, it ain't.
Okay, now let's go to number 5. This is the one I like.
Yeah, this is the one that I recognized for the first time that they remembered who I was. And this is the third time that I was into the melting pot location. And so I'm just going to let you think about this and see if you guys get it.
Here we go.
Out there in like little places.
All right, I'll play. That was at full volume. I'll go half the volume.
Out there in like little places.
I'll just give you a hint. My name is Polynesian. Okay, so I laugh at this one because the living always butcher my name. They always say Luana and Luann, but it's Luana. And so if you listen, it's a male voice, and he comes in and I hear him saying my name.
Out there in like little places.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I almost agreed with Todd for a second because I thought I heard water, but now that you said that, it's like, oh, I hear Luana for sure.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah, let's try it one more time.
Okay.
Out there in like little places.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you start recognizing the voices on your EVPs, because the more I'm in that location, I had picked up that same voice all the time, always saying my name. It was neat. That was the first time, though, and it's kind of like people are like, oh, is that creepy to you? But it wasn't creepy. It was actually cool because, the dead got my name right, too. They said it right.
You've got a ghost boyfriend.
I got to be honest with you. I've been practicing your name all week.
I know. I figured that I was like, maybe I should call them and just let them know how to say it, just so that they don't feel like awkward having to say my name.
I've been practicing. But so you didn't actually hear this, right? You just heard it on your recording?
Just on my recorder. That was the first time I ever got my name being said by a spirit.
How did you feel when it happened?
Right.
I'm sorry?
How did that make you feel when you heard your name being said by them the first time?
Yeah, that was actually a neat feeling because, again, it gave me validation that every time I go in and I say, hey, my name is Luana, I just want to know your story, and I'm talking to them, that they want me to know, that they remember me, and that they recognize who I am. And so for me, it was like a really neat experience because it gave me that validation that they are there, that they do know who I am, and that they like interacting with me. So that was neat.
So what do you think? How do you think you would have? You think it would have freaked you out a little bit if you would have actually heard that with your own ears?
Probably. I'm not going to lie. I think that like anytime you hear an audible voice, it kind of takes me a little bit like by surprise. I've only had a couple that were audible to my ear, but it did kind of startle me each time I've heard it. Waverly Hills was one of the places I heard audible moaning. That was really kind of freaky to me. Yeah.
Okay, we'll go to number 6.
All right, so number 6, I use a device called a REM pod, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a little round device that has an antenna that has basically a bubble around the antenna that it's measuring the EMF range. So there's, if you touch your hand to it, it's going to alarm and it's going to light up. And the first color that it lights up is green. So on this particular investigation, when I put it down, it always levels out, right? So it might alarm because it picks up my EMF and it starts alarming, but then when I back away from the device, it shuts off. And in this case, it didn't. It just kept going off. I know that there wasn't any kind of electrical or anything in that area. So for me, I'm telling my crew, I'm saying this is kind of bizarre because I put this device in the same place every time that I investigate, and it's never done this before. And so it's at the very end, you're going to hear somebody say, well, what does it mean when it flashes green? And so she uses the word, lights up or flashes green. And then this male voice comes in, and he says something about the lights flashing. So I want you guys to see if you can hear that.
Okay, here we go.
That's never happened on the floor, and I actually put it in this exact spot the last time.
What does the green mean?
So this is actually.
Yeah.
Now his voice. I don't know if you guys have captured EVPs like this, but a lot of them come through as whispers. This one came through like he was in the room with us. It sounds like another person in the room, but it was not another person in the room. I can validate that.
Okay. Let me crank it up, and we'll play it again.
Okay. That's never happened on the floor, and I actually put it in this exact spot the last time.
What does the green mean?
So this is actually.
Wow.
Yeah. That one gets me every time because he sounds like a lot of our spirits at that location. Again, it's the same restaurant, Littleton Melting Pot, but they like to kind of mess around and play with us. They're kind of interactive in that way. And in this case, she's asking, what does the flash mean? And he says, share the flash. Like he's kind of like, share the flash. Like it just is a bizarre voice. So that's what I hear. And it sounds like one of us, and it's not.
Yeah, that one's awesome. I like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so number 7.
Okay, so 7 is I was in the same location in this restroom for the female restroom. I know that sounds bizarre, but there is, we feel a female entity that likes to hang out there. And we call her Lillian. That's the name that our medium has given us to call her. And at this time, I'm using my camera, and I wanted to get her permission to take her photos. So I said, is it okay if I take some pictures? And then I hear a response to that in the female voice.
Here we go.
To take some pictures.
All right, we'll go down in volume. Play it one more time.
To take some pictures.
Yes, I feel like yes. It's either a yes or a yeah, but it came through as a whisper. I couldn't hear it at the time, but when I went back, I could hear it.
Okay, one more time.
To take some pictures.
Mm-hmm.
That's that.
Yeah.
You just have a lot.
Yeah. When they answer you and give you intelligent responses, that's always a nice thing.
And what was it that y'all were discussing at that time?
I'm sorry?
What was it that you guys were discussing at that time?
We were just trying to capture, whatever we could, and I was asking if I could get some pictures because, I was going to flash with my camera, and so I said, can I take some pictures? And she said yes. Like she was giving me permission to use my flash and try to photograph her.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8.
Okay, so this is the last one in my collection that I sent tonight, but this one is not so friendly. This is the very first time I was ever in Littleton Melting Pot, and there was a lot of groups before us, some not so respectful, some of them that were very demanding and provokish, unfortunately, and I think that whatever was there felt that we're probably going to be the same way, and so there's a male voice that yells at us upstairs, and see if you guys can hear what he's yelling.
Okay, I'll play it full volume first. Okay, let me go down half volume. If I was to hear that, yeah, I'd be going.
Yeah, that one was yelling, "Get out!" If you can hear that, you can make it out.
Okay, let me put it back to full volume and we'll play it again.
Yeah.
Makes me want to leave now.
Yeah, it's funny when you go back and you hear that, and you're like, wow. And then so the next time we came in, we said, we got this voice that told us to get out. We want to just let you know that we're not here to hurt you. And we really have worked, that was on the upstairs level, and we feel there's a male entity up there that just is kind of grumpy. He just doesn't want to be messed with, and we respect that. So I always say hello to him, and we call him Edward. That's the name that came to our medium. And so for the first time, it's taken almost 3 years for him to actually come out and follow us one night, at least for, again, this is our medium interpretations, but he never wants to interact with us. And there was one night that he came out and was curious of what we were doing. But other than that, I just respect. I say, hi, Edward, just wanted to say hello, and I leave him alone because that's what she thinks.
Well, I don't blame you. All right, Ken, Ken, you want to tell us your story before we get into your EVP?
Yeah, actually it was very interesting. I've got a couple of members on my team who are, we'll say they've got gifts. They've got some psychically based gifts. One is an empath, at least shows the signs of it, and the other one is more of a visual psychic, or at least seems to, that's what it's seeming to turn into. Now, I told them this all the time, that I don't tell people that I have people that can do this unless I have some validation. I need to be able to feel comfortable saying that, because I think there's way too many people out there that say they are, and you find out that later on that's not the case at all. Well, inadvertently, the latter of the two, the one that has more visual psychic gifts, and I'll say right now, she is very humble about it, and she says, I have no idea how to control this yet. It happens. I write it down, and go from there. Well, this case that we had been working is a fairly serious case, and a couple of weeks ago, while we were beginning research, now mind you, she did not help with the research at all. She's aware of the case, but she's not aware of the person's name, anything like that. We didn't brief her on it, because she's the furthest away from the person's house, and it was just not likely she was going to be able to contribute by driving 40 miles one way to help out. So she calls one of our researchers and says, I've got to ask you this because I've been sitting here and these thoughts came to into my head, so I jotted them down. And I'm changing the name here, but you'll get the point. Is the client's name Flanders? And did she grow up in this part of I don't know, Detroit? And did she go to this high school? And did she do this, this, and this? And you know, my researcher was just floored. She was one letter off. Instead of Flanders, the name is, you know, Flanders. So instead of Anders, Aunders. She went to the exact high school. She went to, I mean, and there was no way, because none of the information was given to her. She said after all that was given to her, a voice came into her head that said, "This is not your concern. Do not dig into this. You're not wanted in this." And so she's kind of spunky, so she was like, "Oh, yeah? Screw you. I'm going to keep concentrating." Well, nothing else came, but to me that was like, wow. You know, it was like one of those moments where it's like, how did she possibly know this? And she's very honest. She has nothing to prove. She isn't looking for fame or fortune or anything. In fact, she's, like I said, she's very humble. So that was all cool on its own. Last night we're at the investigation. I decided to have her along in case something came up again. So she's just kind of sitting on her own in the room while we had 3 teams of 2 go throughout the house and do their thing. And while she's sitting there, actually, when she was on her way, we carpooled. On her way to my house, she gets to my house, and she said that on the way to my house, she had a couple of visions. And one was, I don't know if anyone out there is a baseball fanatic, but there's a Detroit Tiger named Prince Fielder. And she said, I saw Prince Fielder in his uniform, but he didn't have eyes. He had the sockets, but no eyes. And I was like, okay, just all right. And then she said she kept getting pictures from the movie Harry and the Hendersons. And so again, I'm just kind of like, okay, thinking, all right, well, we can't, be 100% all the time, So we go to the person's house, and she's off on her own. And we weren't talking about any of the family members or anything. In fact, I asked everyone to remain quiet so that we wouldn't disturb the investigators. So the owner of the home steps outside, and I went with her because it was a little stuffy in the house. And I get a text from my investigator, and she's like, I don't know if I should ask this question, but I've got a question to ask that might have something to do with the case. It's been gnawing at me since I walked into this room, and it has to do with the visions I had. And I thought, well, why not? I said, come on out here and ask it. At least you checked with me first. So while she was sitting there, she wrote down the word Prince Fielder, no eyes, and Harry and the Hendersons. And she started thinking, well, no eyes. The Prince Fielder, the name with no eyes, would be Felder. And so she came out, she goes, is there anybody that is in your family with the name Felder? Turns out, why, yes, that's her married name. And, I'd always thought it was Saunders. Well, she's about to be divorced, so she just goes by her maiden name. But no one's called her by her maiden name in 20 years, which I thought was even more interesting that my investigator got that 2 weeks ago. Then she said, well, what about Henderson? Oh, yeah, that's my husband's, mother's maiden name. And it was just strange. It was just really strange.
Wow.
Turns out that she said that my investigator said she was picking up on an angry male spirit with the last name of either Henderson or Felders. And she said that, oddly enough, there was one of each. There was one Henderson and one Felders that had recently passed, and both were angry when they left this world. So I just kind of blew me away. And I just, like, and she's all humble about it, and I'm, like, bragging on her. And she's all like, it just came to me. I'm just relaying the info. But it was just crazy to me. It was like out of this world. I've never had that happen right in front of me like that.
Wow.
She said, I'm sorry, you said, is she a member of your team or not?
Yes, she is.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of now the empath has done some pretty remarkable stuff too, but I mean, this blew me out of the water because I mean, these are like you know, oh yeah, well, you know, so and so Flanders, he passed, you know, and he was angry with me when he passed because about an hour before it passed, I asked him, you know, she's a very religious woman, and asked him do you know Jesus? Is he your savior? And I guess he didn't want to talk about it, probably because he was scared because he knew the end was coming. And she said that he was kind of mad at her. And then the other one was just kind of a grumpy guy in general. So, you know, grumpy in life, grumpy in death. And it's just interesting. Now we took that information and we threw it into our EVP sessions, and, you know, we're reviewing our data to see if we got answers, whether it was one or the other. But we thought it was rather interesting, to say the least, that out of the millions of names that she could have come up with, you know what I mean? I mean, just to, you know, just to come up with that. And we hadn't told her at the time that she got, you know, that she got the first name right. We didn't give her that info at the time.
That's impressive. Yeah.
I was very impressed.
So anyway, that was my little story. But I love sharing like really wild experiences when they happen. And for me, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
I think it's fascinating that, you know, you have people that can tap into that kind of information. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, to me, it you know, because I'm skeptical when it comes to psychics, not because I'm a jerk, just because I want to see for myself. I want to see you show me that you can do this.
Right.
You know, then I mean, call me Doubting Thomas, but, you know.
Right. All right, so one of the first clips that you sent in, Ken, well, I'll just go over them like we did, or we'll start off with number one.
Okay, number one, we captured this. This was during setup at an event that we attended. There were 14 teams at this event, and it was for historic Fort Wayne in Detroit. It's an old Civil War era fort, and there were 14 teams stationed throughout the fort and the building, the outlying buildings. My team was fortunate enough to have the Spanish-American jail, that era jail, which is very active. And this was, once we got in there and kind of got our cameras set up, I said, well, what the heck, just let the recorders roll. And it was a public event, so you had groups of about 30 people coming through. But this was just before they started letting people through. Well, the position of just so you can kind of understand, we weren't like inside the fort. We were one of the outlying buildings, and our building is next to what used to be the quartermaster building, which would have things like supplies, and it would house the officers' horses, stuff like that. What you're going to listen for, and I'll give you a little more info afterwards, but what you're going to listen for, you're going to hear like just random like recording. Then you're going to hear a key on the walkie-talkie that I had left sitting on the table. You'll hear a second key, and it's immediately after the second keying of that walkie-talkie that you're going to hear something that I can verify there were none of at that fort that day.
Okay, we'll go ahead and play it full blast.
It's a little tough to hear, but I think I'm going to tell you. Did you hear anything? Either you two, do you know what you're...
Yeah,
I have a difficult time hearing on the phone, but I'll listen again.
Yeah, we'll play it one more. Play it again.
This one might be tough to hear. What you're hearing is a horse neighing. It's immediately after that second key. This particular recorder was the closest to the stable area, which is no longer there's no horses there. The Detroit police use horses, but I verified there were none there that day. But it's a little hard on this one.
We'll play it a couple more times.
Oh, I heard it that time.
Yeah. Which is really incredible for us. I mean, we were like, what? Was that a horse? So immediately I'm on the phone with all the police department and anybody else that could have possibly had a horse down there, and no one did. So we thought that was kind of interesting.
Wow. That's cool.
It is cool.
We had a couple of AVPs. That jail was off the hook that night. We had a couple of AVPs, the audio voice phenomena. I was doing some singing. I was singing some Civil War songs, and I would stop. And at one point, I stopped, and we heard a voice carry the note on for about 3 seconds, and then drop off, fade out, and everyone just went. It was really neat. It was really neat to hear.
Is this the first time you ever caught an animal sound like that?
Yes. We've never. No, it's the second time within a month of itself. We actually caught a cat in the Bruce Mansion. There was also there were 3 or 4 teams there, and people actually. Someone actually got a shot of it on film, and it wasn't. There was no cats. We verified there were no cats in the house. I mean, it was. I mean, we've got it at least twice on audio.
All right. Luana, how about you? Got any animal sounds?
The only one that we possibly picked up, and I just debunked it because we were in the mountains, and we heard a dog barking very faintly, but I couldn't validate that there wasn't a dog outside, so I didn't just assume that it was a paranormal dog barking, but that was the only thing I ever picked up.
Speaking of dog barking, mine just ran through and barked.
I heard that. I thought you were just doing that because of what I was talking about. Just kidding.
Okay. Get number 2.
Number 2, let's see. This one was actually an interesting case. This was a case we did in Garden City, Michigan. It's and actually we're going back there. We have an ongoing research there. The house was in the same family for about 86 years, and we've picked up at least a dozen different spirits there over the past 3 investigations, and they're very, very cooperative. This is the case that George and I were actually able to deliver through the spirit box a message that had been waiting 40 years to be delivered. And so this place has a special place in our heart. This one is an AVP. We were up in the master bedroom, one of my investigators and I, and we were talking about the wiring. The house was built in 1926 or so, I think. And so all the wiring was done it came in a kit. So the whole house came in a kit, and he assembled it like a piece of IKEA furniture. And I just had made some comment about I wasn't sure how the wiring in those old houses worked. And then you hear my investigator say that the EMF was going up in the room, and then you hear an AVP, and I'll see if you guys can tell me what it says.
Okay, here we go.
Around my house, I don't know. If anything would drain it, but I don't know how that works.
Right. It's going back up now. So, that's good.
And then you hear my investigator say, "What the hell was that?" But,
Let
did
me,
you tell what he said?
Yeah, let me turn it down a little bit and play it again.
Around my house, I don't know. If anything would drain it, but I don't know how that works.
Right. It's going back up now. So, that's good.
Yes.
Well, I could hear it. I can't make out what it is, but.
So I said, I just don't know how that works. And it goes by, and he says, well, the EMF's going back up, or it's going back up again. And then you hear it says, why don't you? It's like this old man crotchety voice. Why don't you? Why don't you know that? You're a man. You should know how that works.
All right, we'll play it again.
Around my house, I don't know. If anything would drain it, but I don't know how that works.
Right. It's going back up now. So, that's good. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the funny thing
I heard
is
it,
that the voice was the same that we got in the kitchen, where he said, we asked his name, and he says, Elihu. And that was the owner, the first owner of the house, the guy that bought the house, the kid.
Wow.
All right, Ken, let's move to number 3. I'm
Okay,
assuming it's Trans-Allegheny?
Yeah, yep, Trans-Allegheny. I was the guest of APS recently. This was just in July. They had an opening, and they offered it to me, so I went. And I got a lot of EVPs from that place. That place is off the hook. We had a major electrical storm the night before. I don't know if that amped it up, but that place was nuts. And this is the first time I was there. And this one I thought was one of the more interesting ones. This is captured in the violent women's ward. And a lot of the EVPs we weren't getting them when we were just asking questions so much, but we would just be chatting, and all of a sudden they would just talk along with us, like they're involved in the conversation. So it was really kind of a strange experience. Because normally I always tell my people that, don't be talking a whole lot, let's give them as much space as they need, blah, blah, blah. But here it was a little different. So you're going to hear one of the APS women say something about, about how she screams. And it's about a second or two after that, and you'll hear it. It's sort of behind the voices. And then I'll fill you in on more detail on the other side.
Okay, here we go. I'll play it up full volume.
You can hear me scream. Yeah. I have these.
Yeah.
And,
All right, now let me turn that one down. That's a lot of. Let me turn it down.
Yeah.
Play it.
you can hear me scream. Yeah. I have these.
Yeah.
And,
I can definitely
Did you hear
the
that?
scream. Yeah, I can definitely hear the scream.
That's one of the most gut-wrenching screams I've ever heard in my life. And no one screamed. I mean, I can verify that. I was right there. We were in the violent women's ward. We were right outside the seclusion rooms. And just to give you an idea of what happened there is they would use these seclusion rooms. If you were a naughty person, they would take you in there and chain you to the wall or chain you between walls. And the person, whoever chained you up, had to be the one to let you out. And if they happen to forget and go home for the weekend, or if they happen to just be a jerk and leave you in there for 4 days, that's where you were left. No one else would do anything about it. And we were the recorder was right outside that seclusion room. And one of the, things that we found was that even though, that place has a rumor of a lot of AVPs and a lot of slamming doors, we didn't get a lot of that. We would hear doors in other wards close, but it would never happen right in front of us. And pardon the pun, the violent women's ward was particularly dead that night. So we were just trying to pass some time in between questions, and that's where that happened. So I thought that was just, but the scream itself was just blood curdling. I was like, when I heard that one, I was like, okay, that's enough for tonight.
Let me play it again. I turned it down a little bit more. Let me play it again.
You can hear bees scream. Yeah. Bees? I have bees.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, I hear that.
Yeah, I think if I would have been in there and actually heard that with my ears, I'd have to call it a night too.
Yep.
I would have done. That is creepy. Okay, so let's put that to number 4.
Yep. Number 4. All these, all the rest of mine are from the same case, and the reason I put them in there is we were all talking about, how when we go back to a location, we tend to hear similar voices. Well, this was a single night's investigation, and one particular little person kept showing up. And so I thought it was interesting. The first one, it was during our setup. And this one's a little faint, but you can still catch it. And I'll just let you see if you can. Now, remind you, the reason this is so important is because there was apparitions in the house that was the 14-year-old girl was terrified out of her wits that was living there. And apparitions that she reported were a young girl and an older man, and she was just scared out of her wits. So go ahead and see if you can. This is during setup.
Okay, here we go.
Did you catch it? Right. It's a little faint, but it's there.
Let me turn it up and we'll play it again.
So you heard my investigator walking through and setting stuff up. Could you tell what the voice said?
I can hear it. I just can't make out what it's saying.
It's a little girl's voice, and the reason it's important is because every other, not every EVP, but almost every EVP has her same voice. And what we're hearing is, so we're setting up gear, and she says, "I'm confused."
Oh,
okay,
wow.
let's play it again. I heard it that time.
Yep.
Yeah, me too.
So just remember the tone of the voice and the sound of it. Because she comes back and she's a lot more strong. The next one is interesting. It's, again, during setup. And this one, I don't even have to tell you. Just go ahead and play it. It's loud. This must be the male.
All right, I'll turn it down then. I'm going to turn it up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty
me.
Yeah.
That's one of the
clear.
louder ones I've ever gotten. I mean, so he must have been the way and shove it around me. So, oh, go ahead.
That's great.
Wow.
And then, I know at that point we were running cable because you can hear me smacking on the floor, but I just thought it was interesting. You know, they were in the room that had the most activity and the one that they're seeing in the window a lot of. So the next one was we had just started our EVP sessions. We did have the 14-year-old with us at that point, and you can hear one of the investigators say, "Now, if you feel sick or you get scared, you can leave. Don't feel like you have to stay here, et cetera." You're just trying to comfort her. And then you hear the lead investigator say, "Okay, we're going to get started," and then we got this response, and it's loud, and it's not the 14-year-old. The 14-year-old girl's voice is much deeper.
Okay, here we go.
All right, so anytime when you feel uncomfortable and you want to go, you just tell us, okay? When I do ask everybody to find a spot where they're going to sit, so there's less movement, you can put on the floor, you can sit in there, you can sit over here, whatever you want to do.
Oh, yeah, I heard it.
Mm-hmm. Luana, can you tell what it said?
I can't tell what it said, but I always have problems over it when I'm on the air hearing it.
Gotcha.
So.
I know there's something right before it, but I do hear the word mommy.
Yeah, it's what we it's funny because we kind of argued about it for a while, but we came to the conclusion that more people were hearing it the way it's written up there. We hear, because she mentions she wants everyone to find some place to sit. So we knew it, and then we hear what most of us are hearing is, "Am I bad, Mommy?" But it could be "On my bed, Mommy." So we kind of, some people are hearing it one way. I hear it as, "Am I bad, Mommy?" But I mean, it's quite loud. I mean, she must have been close to the recorder or something.
All right, let me shoot through it one more time.
All right, so anytime when you feel uncomfortable and you want to go, you just tell us, okay? When I do ask everybody to find a spot where they're going to sit, so there's less movement, you can put on the floor, you can sit in there, you can sit over here, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, that time I heard "Am I bad, Mommy?"
Yeah, so maybe she felt like she's getting in trouble or something. I don't know. Side note on this particular investigation, when we went for the interview, anytime there's kids involved, our team has she's a social worker with a psych degree, and she goes along with us. So while they were conducting the interview, I decided, I'm going to check out some of these claims. So I went up in that room by myself, and one of the claims that the young lady had was that there was, picture an attic, and then add in some drywall on each side of the attic with a peaked roof, and that was her room. I mean, it was nicely done. And then she had 2 crawl spaces, one on each side of her room. And she said that she would get knocking on the drywall from the crawl space. And so I went in there and I set up my recorder, and I thought, and I had asked them, "Okay, well, you're gonna knock for me?" And I saw, God, right in front of me on the wall, like 3 big knocks. And I was like, okay. We have a live one here, So of course I had to go in the crawl space and check out that no one was in there. But it was interesting. They were fairly cooperative in that house. So then the next one, Again, the same little girl. This one was captured in the master bedroom. And, again, same team. They had just moved down to the master bedroom. So go ahead and check this one out.
Okay, here we go. All right, let me turn it up and we'll play it again.
Yep.
Doesn't know you very well, obviously.
That's as loud as I can make.
Okay. Well, in the midst there of them talking, you hear this young girl's voice again, and we make it out as her saying, "Mommy's here." So she's looking, I think, at this lead investigator as a person of authority. It's clearly not her daughter, but she's looking at her perhaps as or maybe she looked like her mother when, or something. But she kept referring to this person as Mommy.
All right, let's play it again, see if we can get it.
Doesn't know you very well, obviously.
All right, one more time.
Doesn't know you very well, obviously.
Can you get it?
I could hear it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And then going on to the final one I sent in, this one's a little bit long, but it's interesting. A bit of a sense of humor about them, and it's kind of creepy at the end. I'm always talking, whatever, I tend to, I've had spirits, I tend to, explain the process to them, over and over and over, like they're idiots and they got to hear it 20 times. And I don't do it intentionally. It's just part of my anal part of myself. And so I'm, I've had spirits where I'll explain it and they're like, Ken, all right, I got it already. I've literally got that response from them. So in this case, I'm always telling them, speak loudly. Whatever you do, say it as loud as you can. Speak very loudly. And I'm very emphatic about that. So in this one, you hear us leaving the room. This is the upstairs bedroom area, and this was caught on the stationary mic or a stationary recorder, and you hear us going down the stairs, and you hear our social worker / investigator say, "Oh, I got a splinter. Oh, ow!" And she kind of goes on about it as we're going down the stairs, and then you hear us leave. And a couple of seconds later, you hear a male voice, which is faint, and it takes a couple of seconds. You probably have to go through it a couple times. He says something to me, and then at the very end, you hear the girl laugh, like a creepy little girl ghost laugh.
Oh, great. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a splinter. Ow.
Oh, my. You can definitely hear the laugh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good grief.
I was like, thanks a lot for that one. I don't know. Did you tell what the male spirit said?
I could not. Let me, I'm trying to hear it without looking what the label is so I could try to catch it. But let me play it again.
Oh, I got a splinter. Ow.
God.
Gosh. That is creepy.
Did you, Luana, could you tell what he said, or?
I can't make out what he's saying, but I still get, like, goosebumps when I hear the little girl, like, laugh.
What we're picking up is you hear us leave, and there's a second of silence, and then we're hearing, Ken, come here, loudly. So he's kind of mocking me because telling him to speak loud all the time.
All right, let's play it. Let me turn it up all the way, and we'll play it again.
Oh, I got a splinter. Ow.
Oh, yeah, I heard it. I
got it. Oh, good gravy.
I'll clip the little girl's voice and make sure that it's like somehow you're subjected to it every day. Yeah, that was a creepy.
This is a house?
Yeah, it's a private home that we were brought in. I mean, it's owned by a friend of one of my investigators, and the girl was just petrified. I mean, you know, she was seeing these apparitions and, you know, all the thumping going on the walls. It was just terrifying. And we actually at one point asked, do you even realize that you're scaring, you know, this girl? And we had a couple of voices answer, well, no. And you know, of course, you know, me being a tough guy, I'm like, what is it going to take for you to stop doing this? You will stop doing this, and what is it going to take? And we got, on a couple of different occasions, we'll stop. And things went silent there for about a year, and just recently they started to kick up again. And at that point, they were just renting the house anyway. So they decided that they were just going to move. So we don't have access to the house anymore.
Right.
Wow.
Like, you know, people, you know, we talk to the neighbors, and they say, yeah, once in a while we'll see a young lady and an older gentleman standing in the attic window, looking out. And I mean, the neighbors, you know, had nothing vested in this, but everyone on the block knew about that house.
Wow.
Very, very, very crazy.
Can I ask you a real quick question? Because I'm just curious. Ken, what kind of a recorder do you usually capture these with?
Well, we use several different kinds. That particular series, we used a Sony MP3 recorder, which has oh gosh, I'm trying to compare it to. There's a couple of real high-end ones that have the microphones, you know, away. They're not set in. They're not condenser mics. They're set apart from the actual recorder. But
right.
It's an actual MP. You can make professional MP3s with this.
Yeah,
so
I'm just
like $100 recorder.
Yeah,
it's,
to know, like, if you know, because I like my specific recorder, and then I like to see what other people capture and how clear they come out and that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, I'd say the majority of what we have are Olympuses of varying, you know, degrees of quality. But that particular one is our Sony, and it seems like we get most of the really loud and good ones come through on that MP3 player. It does not, oddly enough, I don't believe it has noise reduction, which I think might actually hurt it. But it is an MP3. It is a professional MP3 recorder. I don't have the actual model number, but if I can check it out and send you it if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd like to just, you know, as I get equipment, I like to get just a diverse range of different recorders to see. Like mine, I can change the sensitivity on the mic. I do like real-time EVP review, in, you know, when I'm investigating, and I like to be able to just play with different recorders and see what you get.
Yeah, we love this one. This one's like one of my favorites. Everyone hates it because it's hard to, like, inevitably, between investigations, the batteries run out or whatever, and it's a little more difficult to set the date and time aspect of it, because the buttons are very small and most of us have big fingers. So it's a little difficult in that regard. So my investigators are always complaining about that part of it, but no one complains about what we capture with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We were even thinking about getting some old school like analog tape cassette recorders and running mics like 50 on 50-foot cords into rooms, so there's no chance of getting motor noise or anything like that. We're going to try start an experiment with that. So we try and do a variety of things. We just got really lucky on that series.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah, we take one of them old cassette recorders with us. The thing we have a hard time with is transferring it to the computer.
Mm-hmm. They actually do have a USB controlled little player that allows you to do that, but I think it's ridiculous. I mean, it's a lot of it's kind of on the pricey side.
Yeah. All right, I got to make these quick because we're 13 minutes left. These ones that I added for our team were all captured at our favorite place, the Rust House. I'll start off with this number one. I'll play it first, and it was Susan, my wife. She was downstairs talking with another investigator, asking how you got here. All right, here we go.
Did you come by here before or visit here before?
I could hear it. I just can't make out what it's saying, but I could hear it.
Was it all the time?
Let me play it again. I'll turn it down a little bit.
Okay.
And
Did you come by here before or visit here before?
now what we believe it is saying is we believe it's saying walked here. Let me play it again. Turn it up a little bit.
Did you come by here before or visit here before?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear that.
Yep.
Let's see. Here is this. The whole time spent here at the Rust House, I think this is probably my favorite EVP that we've caught there. I don't think it gets any better than this, at least there anyway. One of the residents that we talk to when we go there, we believe used to be an old stable hand. And Susan was talking about the horses, about them being thoroughbreds and stuff like that. And we definitely believe he gave us an answer. So I'll go ahead and play it.
I bet they were thoroughbreds, weren't they? Beautiful registered animals, weren't they?
Did you hear it at all?
I bet they were thoroughbreds, weren't they? Beautiful registered animals, weren't they?
It's very low, but it's there. We believe it's saying it's a donkey right there at the end. Let me play it again.
I bet they were thoroughbreds, weren't they? Beautiful registered animals, weren't they?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I could hear it
Thanks.
that last time, yeah.
And when once we heard this EVP, the next time we went to the house, they have a bunch of pictures everywhere around the house. And there's actually an African-American male that is downstairs in one of the pictures, and he is holding a donkey.
Huh.
And this one, our team member's Jeff. He was making small talk, and I'll just let y'all hear it.
We love this place like you do. That's why you're still here.
I can hear the voice.
I can hear the voice.
We play it again.
We love this place like you do. That's why you're still here.
What we believe it's saying is the consensus of the team is we hear it saying, "I go fishing." Let me play it again.
We love this place like you do. That's why you're still here. We love this place like you do. That's why you're still here.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, totally heard it.
Okay. And I'll share one more, as we're getting about 7 minutes. This one is Susan was downstairs in the Rust House talking with another investigator. And this place, the house sits on a Civil War battlefield when they had the Battle of Mariana. And she's talking about North and South. Let me play it.
What? The South didn't win? Of course not. They were in the dance of the North.
I don't know if you could hear that, and that's pretty low.
What? The South didn't win? Of course not. They were in the dance of the North.
I can hear the voice. I can't tell what it's saying.
Okay. Yeah, it's right after the one young lady says, "Of course not."
What? The South didn't win? Of course not. They were in the dance of the North.
Yeah, when I have it playing through the speakers here on the computer, I mean, it's almost somebody who's very sorrowful going, "Oh boy." All right, so we got 6 minutes to go. So, Luana, you have all your events coming up this month. Can you share any of them with us? And maybe.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. Go ahead and finish your sentence. Sorry.
I was going to say, if you could go ahead and give us the sites or Facebook pages so we can get them all out to everybody.
Yeah, actually, we do have, if you guys are interested in hearing a little bit about our events and following some of the adventures that we go on, you guys can go to Colorado Shadow Investigations, and that's a Facebook page. We also have our website at coloradoshadowinvestigations.com. Just got our website up and running this week, which I'm really excited about because we have our pretty much everything in one place. You can see some of our videos. You can see we actually captured about a month and a half, 2 months ago. We went to a prison, and the best photographic evidence we've ever captured. 2 apparitions that we see. You can actually see through them. 273 photos on one full spectrum camera, and 1 photo that came through that is just pretty amazing. You could see a female walking away and a male facing us. So that's out there. We have we have our photographic evidence and also our video evidence out there too. So check it out.
Ken?
We're just working on some investigations this month, and probably the best way to get a hold of us is through Facebook. Or you can go to our main site, portalparanormalsociety.com, and hook up through Facebook through that site.
Wonderful. And I promised George that I would go ahead and put in a plug for a show tomorrow night. Join George tomorrow night on Primetime Paranormal as he welcomes Rosemary Ellen Gooley. She's an American researcher and writer on topics related to spirituality, the occult, and the paranormal. She has written 45-plus books, including 10 encyclopedias. So if y'all get a chance out there, stop by. His show starts at 8 o'clock on Primetime Paranormal. Ken, I really do appreciate you guys coming on tonight.
Pleasure being here.
No problem. Yeah, good job, guys. I had fun tonight. Thank you.
And I think you're doing here toward the middle of the month, aren't you doing a talent show here on the...
Oh, I'm doing Waverly Hills.
Waverly Hills, that's right.
Yep. I'm going to have the resident investigator, Mike Flickner, come on. He's going to share some of his experiences, and hopefully the owner of Waverly, Tina, will be also joining us. So that should be an exciting episode. I've had a lot of great captures in Waverly. I've been there a couple times, so stay tuned.
Oh, yeah. I'll definitely be listening there. And that's on the 20th?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
20th. Ooh,
right.
I should be sharing brand new captures this year too, because you guys nobody actually has heard the captures that we just got in August when we were there. So tune in for that show to hear them.
Definitely will. All right, kids, thank you so very much. You guys be safe this week in case you guys get blizzards.
Okay, yeah, you stay safe.
I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready for that.
I'm not either.
All right.
We actually just got our first snowfall already.
Well, what can I say? The only snow I see down here is illegal, and I really don't see it. The cops do, so. All right, kids. You guys have a good week.
You too.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank everybody else in the chat room. I really do appreciate you coming by and listening to the show. And I wish all of you a nice, very good night.